Hello everybody, I hope you're having a good day today. We're going to have another lesson here. Hope you'll pay attention to it. Listening, you probably will. Something for God today. This is His day. I allowed you to wake up this morning and get up. And so do something for the Lord today. And we always need to remind people to do that because sometimes we get so wrapped up in ourselves we forget to do something for God. Okay, the lesson is called The World Will End. And yeah, we've seen this. See, according to the Mayan calendar, the world came to an end on December 21st, 2012. You remember that movie? Great movie. But I guess you missed it. See, several years ago, a self proclaimed prophet announced the end of the world was to take place at a particular time and date. And of course, the news media was watching it. That time came and went, and some news reporters asked if he made a miscalculation, as so many have claimed before. His response was that the world did indeed end, and we just missed it. Okay, that's a strange one. Okay, there's been much hype for years in the news media about the projected end of the world. And yeah, we're all going to die. Global warming or something else. And they think man has control over things, and they are sadly mistaken. But still, every now and then, some prophet comes up and announces the end of the world, and oh yeah, everybody jumps on that. And it should be no surprise because mankind has predicted the end of the world for generations, for many years. And so far, every prediction by man of the end of the world has failed. Now compare that to the record of God. And so God is 100% accurate in everything He says. And man does not compare in any way. But why do men still listen to men? Why do we still listen to them? The Bible warns us about listening to men, and there is danger for our souls by doing so. See, no man has ever been right in his own doctrines and precepts, and yet millions of souls follow their pathways of destruction. Many souls will be lost, even though they're very sincere in what they believe and they think they're going to heaven. If they're following the doctrines of men, then they're going to be lost. And that's really sad because there's some really good people out there that's going to be lost. And why is that? Well, it's because they're not following the Bible. They're not following the words of God and doing things God's way. They're doing the things which makes them feel good, gives them a good feeling about themselves, and they're just going to continue doing that. See, Jesus was God upon this earth, and Jesus said that even He did not know the time when the Lord would render His judgment upon the earth by destroying it. Only God knows the time of the end. Yet in all of this, predictions about the end of the world, and when the time came and went, they usually had some backup plan to present to their followers. Always a miscalculation. I know the Jehovah's Witnesses have made many predictions over the years, and it's always come back always a miscalculation, and they've changed the dates several times. Finally, they just gave up putting out dates when the world would end because nothing ever seemed to go right for them and followers that way. So they just stopped making those predictions. And so sometimes they say a miscalculation, or perhaps enough people prayed and God changed His mind. And then, of course, the favorite one that I mentioned earlier, well, the earth did end, you just missed it. Have you noticed that every generation seems to come up with their own predictions about the end of the world? It's no different than the Antichrist. Every generation has their supposed Antichrist, who they pinpoint, and our generation had an Antichrist. The generation before us had one, and all the way back for hundreds of years, people saying, well, this is the Antichrist. It could be a world leader who is very evil, or it could be maybe a president or something. And they've all come up with that. But everybody has their own predictions about the end of the world. And in order for these predictions to gain any support, the people who make them present themselves as being someone who knows what they're talking about. And usually they have a very charismatic personality. And if things just don't go right, what it'll do? Make them drink the Kool-Aid. And then, of course, mass suicide. So after having scammed people out of millions of, a lot of these people just leave the scene and live happily ever after and cease making predictions. Yeah, that's been a problem in some cases. Some people have actually been arrested and put in jail for the scam that they put upon others. But we must also remember that everything we do and say will be judged by the great judge when this earth finally does come to an end. And it will. The evidence of God's past promises and predictions guarantees that things will be just as God said they would be. When the end comes should not be our concern. Our concern is to be prepared for the end and to be ready at any time. Only those who study and follow the Bible are truly prepared. So the end of the world will come with a fervent heat and will burn up the earth and everything in it. I mean, 2 Peter 3 and verse 10 tells us that. And so when will it happen? I don't know. And you don't know. Nobody on this that time will come. So don't listen to these people claiming the end is coming. I mean, they don't know what they're talking about. And I think in some ways God has just purposely made sure that they were shown to be liars. I mean, if maybe the Lord had planned on ending the earth, if someone made a prediction about it, well, no, God held it back for some reason. But anyway, that's just my opinion. All right. All we know is that we are supposed to be ready for the Lord's return. You know, in 2 Peter 3 and verse 11 says, after it talks about the destruction of the earth and all the earth and all the elements being burned up with the fervent heat, he says, since all these things are to be destroyed in this way, what sort of people ought you to be in holy conduct and godliness? I mean, that's precisely what I said. We don't need to be worried about when it's going to happen. We need to be ready for when it does happen. And so we need to live our lives that way. And so we ask, so what sort of person should we be? Knowing that at any moment, God will decide it is time for this world to end. See, no person or culture or religion can predict this event. You know, verse 12 of 2 Peter 3 tells us we should be looking for and hastening the coming of the day of the Lord. In other words, being prepared for it. Getting right with God and making sure you're in a right relationship with God. And the only way that you can know you're in a right relationship with God is to read His Bible, learn His Bible, live His Bible, and obey it. I mean, it's simple, but yet so many people want to do everything without the Bible. I mean, they're in trouble, and we have to know that. And verse 14 tells us to be found on that day to be in peace, spotless, and blameless. And you go throughout the scriptures, and basically this is what the Christian is supposed to be all the time. We're to be at peace with all men to the best of our ability, so much as depends on peace with others. And yes, we are to keep ourselves unspotted from this world. We're to be blameless in our behavior. And so that's what we're supposed to be as Christians. Today, we are supposed to prepare for the end of the world. And we're to set the right example and let our light shine so as to help others find salvation from God and to get them prepared as well. So whether the world ends or we die, we will not miss that appointment to stand before God of our actions and our thoughts. In Hebrews 9:27, it's appointed for man once to die, and after that, the judgment. Yeah, we're going to have to give an account of our actions, even our thoughts. And sometimes our thoughts, when you think about it, I just got an email today from someone who said, we break all the commandments of God every day in our thoughts. And you know what? And we may not act on those thoughts, but we're still thinking those things. And we've got to find a way just to get rid of all those bad things, even out of our minds. And do our best to concentrate on God and doing what He wants. So, yes, our actions, our thoughts, account of those things. And everything's going to be revealed. There is nothing hidden from God's sight. We read that in the book of Hebrews, chapter 4. There is nothing hidden from His sight. He sees everything. He knows everything. As I said the other day, God even knows what's in your mind. He knows what you're saying. He knows what you're thinking. And so, yeah, get ourselves prepared. Prepare for the end. The world will end. It's guaranteed because God said it would happen. When that's going to be, I don't know. The fact that He's waited this long, of course, 2 Peter 3, verses 1 and 2 talks about the scoffers making fun of it. Well, He said He was coming back, and he hadn't come back yet. Well, the scoffers are out there and the mockers out there, and they're making fun of this. But folks who are Christians, we need to know that there's going to come an end, and we need to be prepared, and we need to do our job to help others become prepared as well. So think about those things. That's our lesson, and Lord willing, be back again with another lesson tomorrow. All right, bye-bye for now.